When we think about advances in electronics, semiconductors and integrated circuits get almost all the attention. But there is a lot of other truly amazing engineering that goes on inside the products we use every day. On today's Tech Chat, we're going to learn about one of these little engineering marvels that has been used over 100 million times in some iconic products that you might even be using right now. So stick around to learn more. On today's Tech Chat, sponsored by Mouser Electronics, we're joined by Kenji Kojima, a product management director at Molex. Welcome to Tech Chat, Kenji.
Thank you very much. My name is Kenji Kojima. I'm working in Molex in the mobile Microsoft Solution BU mobile segment, managing the mobile team as a product management director. Very nice to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have you here today, too. This quad row connector is not a product that I'm familiar with, so I'm looking forward to learning more. You want to tell us a little bit about the agenda for today?
Sure. I would like to start quickly on the product feature and benefits. What's the product has a special feature? What are the benefits to the customers? Following to that one, talk a little bit about the development history, why and how we came up to this idea. And introducing some of the example of the application. And finally, what are the key markets we are playing with this connector?
Well, that sounds great. Let's dive right in.
As you can see here on the overview here, this is a board-to-board connector, which we call Quadro. The special feature, when I just pick up one, which is then it will be the contact pitch, 0.175 millimeter pitch, which is a very small pitch. The mated height is 0.6 with width of 2 millimeter. And otherwise, you can see the numbers here, current rating and the voltage rating, 0.3 amp, 3 amp for the nail. And voltage rating, we can go up to 50 volts. And we can operate this connector under the temperature of minus 40 degrees Celsius up to 85 degrees Celsius.
So how many total contacts are available?
In this one, we have several pin counts. The biggest size we are working on is the 64 pin. We are looking for even bigger size, which we are still under investigation. But so far, 64 circuit are already available.
Oh, very good. And nail is a term that I have not heard before. Is that just a specialized pin for the power and ground?
Well, yeah, you can say that, but also it's also helps for connecting the two plug and receptacle to each other. You can see on the picture on the edge side, you can see a bigger metal piece, which is also both in the receptacle and the plug side. So this will mechanically make the connector more robust and also make it more, more difficult to be broken. But at the same time, since the metal is bigger, as you can see, eventually this can also carry more power amp through the nails.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's a electrical advantage and a physical advantage.
Yes, it is. So you can see a comparison between a connector, we call it a conventional connector. On the top left side, you can see a big connector with the length of 8.75 millimeter as an example. So this is the type of connector we usually use for a miniature board-to-board connector. But when we take an example of the 36 pin, we can make the 36 pin connector. If we use Quadro, we can make the length over 30% shorter because of the pitch size is smaller than the conventional one. Right-hand side picture will give you a little bit more details here. Usually on our conventional connectors, we use usually minimum soldering pitch of 0.35. That's the pitch of the contact pitch 2. But in case of the Quadro, we are using, as you can see here, a staggered design. So the reality, when you see from the top view, the contact pitch will be 0.175. However, the soldering pitch on the board, we still can keep the 0.35 millimeter pitch, meaning the soldering methodology, when the customer wants to do the SMA, they do not need any special condition to solder the surface mount disconnected to the board because it still contains 0.35 millimeter pitch as a soldering pitch. But the contact pitch, the pitch between the contacts, when you look from the top view, as you can see here, it's basically half pitch size. That makes us able to make the length over 30% saving, as you can see on the left side hand picture. Hope this can give you a certain understanding of this Quadro connector.
Yeah, it's a very clever solution. So the connector gets smaller and you can get more pins basically in a smaller area. But the surface mount technology for connecting the boards doesn't have to change. So it's a lower cost solution for these customers that want to decrease size but not having to change their whole assembly technology.
Yes, that's correct. So therefore, sometimes if you can try to make any smaller connectors by using several technologies, but at the end of the day, it should be easy to use by the customer. So in this Quadro case, the customer doesn't have to care of any special treatment on the SMA process. They can use the exact same SMA process. That's one of the benefits on this connector.
That's very interesting. So what are some of the other features of the Quadro board-to-board connector?
Sure. I have put some picture on some other benefit. One benefit is the robustness. As I already explained a little bit about the fitting nail, you can see on the left-hand side picture, not only the fitting nail, but this connector has also a feature called inserted molded interior cover. Hope you can see on the picture there. So when you mate the plug and the receptacle to each other, the edge of the connector will be kind of a metal to metal contact thanks to the fitting nail. But also you have we call it in mid island. There's a mid island on the receptacle on the connector, the black portion in the middle. And that portion, in some of the old connectors, we don't use this metal, meaning that there was the plastic to plastic mating. And that one had a little bit risk of damaging the connector to each other. But in this Quadro, we have covered also the mid island area by the metal too. So you can see the two areas that are the first touch point between the receptacle and plug. Those are covered by the metal. So that will enable us with a much robuster feature. And on top of that, you can see on the right-hand side, we have also enabled a wide alignment. Alignment is when the operator mates the receptacle and plug to each other. Of course, it's done by the human. So the position cannot be very accurate, like 0.1 millimeter or something like that. So this connector will allow the operator to mate within 0.4 millimeter position tolerance. And once the operator will manage within the 0.4 millimeter, it will automatically guide to the right position without damaging the connector. So those two are some other benefits on this Quadro on top of the super fine pitch.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, you mentioned the human operators having to do the alignment, but it's also sort of a blind connection because it's a board-to-board connection. So there's a little bit you can't see what's happening underneath there.
Yeah, correct. And it is very small, so that makes it even more difficult.
Absolutely.
I would like to touch upon a little bit on the development history of this connector. We had actually a staggered type of connector already in our hands on an FPC connector. You can see on the left-hand side picture. So that one, the picture you can see here, the white connector, this is also a similar type of staggered design. The difference is, as you can see here, the pitch size was 0.3 millimeter on the contact pitch and 0.6 millimeter on the soldering pitch. As you might remember, in our Quadro, our contact pitch is 0.175. So it's we try to make the same concept onto the board-to-board with even much smaller size. That was the starting point of this connector. When we try to do that, you can see on the middle picture, as I wrote it here, combine two dual staggered row. What I mean with dual staggered row, there are two connector in the middle picture, but please just look into one of them. The original idea when we started this quad row was actually not quad row, but it was dual row. You can see there was one plug like this, and then this can be used as a staggered type of design, and we can make it a dual row, but in a very small size. That was the original idea of this board-to-board type of staggered connector. However, we started to see some challenges. One of the challenge was that, as you can see, this connector, if it's only dual row, the width is very small. So when you mount this on the board, there was a risk that it can make an easy tilting, a kind of seesaw effect, that the connector can be easily taken off from the board because of some moment will be added onto the dual row connector. And this one we couldn't resolve unless we make the connector bigger. But if you make the connector bigger and wider, then the benefit of this connector will go away. This was something we tried to look into and then came up to an idea, why don't we combine these two into one? Then we can have it becomes wider, of course, but at the same time, it can be much more stable on the board. And most importantly, then we can manage 4 rows, quad rows, that will enable us more pin counts in the same length. So this is the development history why we came up with this quad row type of board-to-board connector.
Well, that's very interesting to hear about the development process behind a new connector like this. And as things get so much smaller, they just get more difficult. And I would think, you talked about the moments and the pressure. I would think that things like thermal expansion, as you're doing heat cycling in boards like that, that becomes an issue too with the really long, narrow connectors.
Yeah, good point. Definitely, that can be another kind of risk if you go with the dual row. Yes.
Yeah, so having a much wider solution here, but with denser pins, gives you a much more stable product.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Yep.
So then can you provide some examples of applications that could really benefit from using the quad row connector?
Sure. Some application you can see here, which is already in use. One thing is on the watch. In the watch, you can, it's a very small product, and then that will require very small connectors that can manage multiple number of signals. So put this into the watch series, like Apple Watch. This is something we are aggressively making it happening in the market. And also we are making application onto the earbuds, like you can see on the right-hand side. This is also an extremely small product, which requires a very fine pitch connector inside. So this is also what we already are doing using the quad row connector. But doesn't have to be limited to those kind of IoT devices. It's also aimed to be on the smartphones too. The smartphones also are becoming very miniaturized, especially when the smartphone has contained more and more like RF bands. It will require more antennas and more modules, and that will basically eating up all the real estate. So the smaller the connector will be, it can enable customers to add more features or antennas onto their smartphone. So this quad row can be used, and we are trying to use also on multiple smartphones as well. So these are some of the examples, application example where quad row will make a true benefit.
Well, it's good to see these. That you've already got these into high volume products for very well respected brands. They're going to require high performance and reliability. So for our audience of engineers that are thinking about using this, they can really trust that this has already been tested in the field and it's going to be a low risk design change for them.
Yes, correct. And maybe I can add one more important thing. We already have shipped more than 100 million of the Quadro into the market already without any issues. So it's already proven to be working perfectly in the market.
Yeah, that's excellent data to add to the discussion. So, what are some of the other industries and applications that would be expected to benefit from adopting the Quadro board to board connector?
Some of them I already have explained in the previous slide, but definitely the mobile market, including smartphones, tablets, gaming devices, is a key market that we are aggressively looking into it. Also, wearable such as a smartwatch, which you have also seen in the previous slide, and as you know, AR, VR glasses are also getting really, flying into the market. And the wireless earphones that you have also seen in the previous slide. Other than those, medical, such as patient monitoring or surgeon equipment, these will also require a very small footprint. So that can be another good market that we can utilize the Quadro. 5G is coming really into the worldwide market now. And then not only smartphones, we expect that there will be a lot of other portable 5G devices coming in to the market. So any of the 5G RF devices can also be a very good market we can aim for. And any other miniaturized devices like IoT devices. Drones can also be a good market that we can aim for. There are several types of drones, but when we look at the very small miniaturized drones, Quadro can make a big play into those market as well. That's what we are looking for now.
Well, Kenji, this has been a helpful introduction to a really interesting new product that I had never seen before. Do you have any last comments you would like to share with our engineering audience today?
Well, yes, I think I covered basically the key point, but the thing I would like to emphasize here is that this Quadro is already proven in the market, as I told you, with more than 100 million units shipped out without any issues. And even it has a very big advantage on the size. As I told you, it has a 30% space saving benefit compared to the conventional connectors. But the customer can use this without any special preparations, such as SMA processes. The customers can use the conventional SMA processes. So the customer doesn't have to care about this as a special connector. Everyone can use this as a normal standard board-to-board connector like all others, but immediately can get a benefit of space saving, and it's already proven in the market. Those are the key points I would like to highlight as my final message.
Well, those are all some very important highlights, and I think it's a product that is going to see even more use as people become acquainted with it.
Yeah, I really think so.
So we want to thank our sponsor, Mouser Electronics, for their support of these tech chats. And if you are looking to learn more or purchase these Quadro board-to-board connectors or other great Molex products, please go visit our friends at Mouser.com. And join us again next time on Tech Chat, where we chat with the leading technical experts like Kenji Kojima from industry-leading companies like Molex, who are changing our world every day.